The first time humans reached beyond their atmosphere, they were nothing but a curiosity to the galactic community, a primitive species on a backwater world called Earth, still burning fossil fuels and fighting among themselves over arbitrary borders drawn on their single planet. Commander Jack Reynolds stood on the observation deck of Lunar Base Alpha, gazing at the blue marble hanging in the void. Humanity's first permanent settlement beyond Earth had been operational for just 5 years, but already it felt like home. The transition from experimental outpost to functioning colony had happened faster than anyone predicted. "Commander, the delegates from the Galactic Council have arrived," said Lieutenant Emma Davis, her voice betraying a hint of nervousness. Jack nodded, straightening his uniform. "They're early." "They're always early," Emma replied. "It's like they enjoy catching us unprepared." The Galactic Council had made contact 3 years ago, after detecting unusual energy signatures from Earth's quantum experiments. Their arrival had shocked humanity into unity, suddenly aware they were not alone in the cosmos. The Council representatives, tall blue-skinned beings who called themselves the Alteri, had been politely dismissive of humanity's technological achievements. "Just remember," Jack said, "they're here to observe, not to help. Council policy is clear on developing species." The Altari delegation, led by an official named Vex, toured the facility with detached interest. Their translator devices converted their musical language into flat, emotionless English. "Your progress is adequate," Vex stated, examining the hydroponics bay, "though inefficient by Council standards." Dr. Thomas Miller, the base's chief scientist, bit back a retort. He'd spent 15 years perfecting these systems. "We work with what we have," he said diplomatically. "Indeed," Vex replied. "Your species shows remarkable adaptability despite your limitations." That evening, after the Alteri had departed, the base's senior staff gathered in the common area. "They think we're children," Thomas fumed. "Did you see how they looked at our fusion reactor? Like it was a science fair project." Admiral William Grant, Earth's highest-ranking space official, who had accompanied the Altari delegation, raised his hand for silence. "They've been exploring space for 50,000 years. To them, we are children." "So what?" Jack asked. "We deserve respect." William smiled thinly. "Respect is earned, Commander. The Council has categorized Earth as a Class 3 developing world. That means observation, minimal contact, and no technological assistance." Emma leaned forward. "But we've already reverse-engineered some of their propulsion concepts from the scans we took." William's eyes gleamed. "Precisely. The Alteri underestimate human ingenuity. They see our technology, not our potential. While they're watching us crawl, they don't notice we're learning to run." Jack looked back at Earth through the viewport. "How long until we catch up?" "At our current rate of advancement," Thomas calculated, "they expect centuries. I think we can do it in decades." William nodded. "Humanity has always excelled when challenged. And now we have the greatest challenge of all, to prove ourselves worthy of the stars." As the meeting adjourned, Jack lingered by the viewport. The spark of ambition burned bright within him, the same spark that now united humanity. The Alteri's condescension had inadvertently given Earth something it had always lacked: a common purpose. The race to the stars had begun. 50 years after first contact, humanity had defied all Galactic Council projections. Admiral Maria Reyes, granddaughter of one of the original Lunar Base Alpha engineers, stood on the command deck of the Earth vessel Prometheus, the first human ship capable of faster-than-light travel. At 78, she had spent her entire career working toward this moment. "Final systems check complete," reported Captain Ben Foster. "FTL drive is nominal. We're ready for the jump." "Admiral." Maria nodded, her weathered face solemn. "Proceed, Captain." The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, each aware of the historic nature of their mission. Humanity had kept their true technological progress hidden from the Council for decades, operating behind a facade of modest advancement while their best minds worked furiously in secret facilities throughout the solar system. A Council observation ship is hailing us, Communications Officer Alex Parker announced. They're asking about our unusual energy readings. Maria smiled. Tell them we're conducting standard propulsion tests. Nothing to be concerned about. The Prometheus represented humanity's greatest achievement, a leap in technology that had taken the Altari millennia to develop. Human scientists had approached the problem differently, finding an elegant solution the Council races had overlooked. All stations report ready, Ben confirmed. Coordinates locked for the Proxima Centauri system. Execute, Maria ordered. The stars outside the viewport stretched into lines, then vanished as the Prometheus tore through the fabric of space-time. Moments later, the nearest star to Earth's sun appeared on the main display. Cheers erupted across the bridge. Humanity had taken its first step into the wider galaxy. Send the signal to Earth, Maria commanded. Operation Cosmic Ladder is successful. Within hours, 50 other ships hidden throughout the solar system activated their own FTL drives, spreading outward to predetermined star systems. Each carried the seeds of human colonies, the beginning of humanity's carefully planned expansion. 3 days later, an emergency session of the Galactic Council convened. The Altari representative, Kale, addressed the gathering with barely contained alarm. The humans have achieved faster-than-light capability centuries ahead of projection, Kale reported. They now have presence in over 50 star systems, established without Council approval or oversight. The Council chamber filled with murmurs of disbelief and concern. How is this possible? Demanded the Morrigan delegate. They were burning hydrocarbons less than a century ago. Kale's expression darkened. We underestimated them. Their technological growth doesn't follow standard development patterns. While appearing to advance incrementally in public, they were making quantum leaps in their classified programs. This changes their classification, noted the ancient Tellurian observer. Earth must now be recognized as a Class 1 emerging power. Back aboard the Prometheus, Maria received the Council's formal acknowledgement of humanity's new status with quiet satisfaction. She shared the message with Earth's united government, triggering celebrations across the planet and its colonies. They still don't understand, Ben remarked, watching footage of the Council session that had been intercepted by human intelligence. They think this was our endgame. Maria shook her head. This was just the first rung on our ladder. We've proven we can climb. Now we show them how high we can go. Humanity had built its cosmic ladder through determination, ingenuity, and strategic patience. Now, they would begin their true ascent. 100 years after the Prometheus first jumped to Proxima Centauri, humanity had established a presence in over 500 star systems. The Human Confederation, as it was now known, had become a recognized power in the galactic community, though still viewed as newcomers by the ancient races of the Galactic Council. Dr. James Reed, director of the Confederation Advanced Technologies Division, stood before the assembled Council representatives on the neutral station Harmony. At 42, he was considered young for his position, but his brilliance had propelled him through the ranks. Distinguished delegates, James began, his voice echoing through the Grand Chamber. Humanity proposes a solution to the Orion energy crisis that has plagued Council worlds for the past decade. The crisis had begun when the quantum reactors powering several major Council civilizations started to destabilize, a flaw in their fundamental design that had gone undetected for millennia. Entire star systems were now facing catastrophic energy shortages. The humans presume much, whispered Toran, the Altari High Commissioner, to his aide. They've barely mastered standard Council technologies, yet they claim to solve a problem our best minds cannot. James activated a holographic display. Our approach differs fundamentally from conventional Council methodologies. Rather than trying to stabilize the failing quantum matrix, we've developed an entirely new energy paradigm. The display showed a complex web of interlocking fields. The human-developed zero-point energy extraction system. It was elegant, revolutionary, and completely unlike anything the council races had conceived. This isn't merely a temporary fix, James continued. This technology produces 300% more energy with 60% less quantum waste than your current systems. Silence fell over the chamber as the implications became clear. Humanity wasn't just offering help. They were demonstrating technological superiority in a field the Council had dominated for 50,000 years. How soon can this be implemented? Asked the Tellurian representative, breaking protocol in their urgency. We've already prepared construction teams and have prototype generators ready to deploy, James replied. With Council approval, we can begin installation within the week. The vote was unanimous. Within a month, human engineers were working throughout Council space, replacing failing quantum cores with their revolutionary new system. The balance of power shifted subtly but profoundly. Lisa Park, captain of the Confederation flagship Endeavour, supervised the installation at Altaris Prime, the Altari homeworld. The irony wasn't lost on her. Humans saving the civilization that had once dismissed them as primitive. Their engineers are learning our technology remarkably quickly, noted her executive officer, Commander Ryan Quinn. Lisa nodded. That's why we're only installing the commercial version. The military-grade systems remain classified. Later that evening, Lisa met with Varen, descendant of Vex who had first contacted Earth a century and a half earlier. The elderly Altari carried himself with dignity despite his species' diminished standing. We underestimated humanity at every turn, Varen admitted. First as primitives, then as imitators, finally as equals. Now we find you've surpassed us in critical technologies. Evolution favors adaptability. Lisa replied diplomatically. Humanity faced extinction many times on Earth. We learned to innovate or die. Varen studied her thoughtfully. The Council races have been stable for too long. We forgot what it means to struggle, to fight for survival. As Lisa returned to her ship, she gazed at the beautiful blue-green world of Altaris. Humanity had reached for the stars and found not just new homes, but a new purpose, to bring fresh perspectives to a galaxy grown complacent in its ancient wisdom. The human ascent continued, unrestrained and unstoppable. 250 years after first contact, humanity had transformed the political landscape of the galaxy. The Human Confederation had expanded to over 3,000 star systems, and its influence extended far beyond its borders through trade agreements, technological exchanges, and defensive pacts with younger races. The ancient council chamber on Harmony Station had been redesigned, the circular arrangement of seats replaced with a star-shaped forum where all galactic civilizations, old and new, could meet as equals. Today, the chamber was filled to capacity for a historic announcement. Director Marcus Lee of the Confederation Deep Space Exploration Corps stood at the central podium, his weathered face displaying the confidence of a man about to change history. For millennia, the boundary of our galaxy marked the limit of our collective ambition, Marcus began. The void between galaxies was deemed uncrossable, the energy requirements too vast, the distances too great. The assembled delegates watched attentively. Humanity had developed a reputation for achieving the impossible. Today, I am proud to announce that the intergalactic vessel Unity has successfully completed its maiden voyage to the Andromeda Galaxy and returned safely to Milky Way space. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Even the most advanced council races had only theorized about intergalactic travel. The journey took 3 months using our new dimensional fold drive, Marcus continued. We've established an automated relay station in Andromeda to maintain communications and have mapped 16 potentially habitable star systems for future exploration. A Tellurian elder rose from her seat. Director Lee, the energy requirements for such a journey would be astronomical. How did humanity overcome this barrier? Marcus nodded respectfully to the ancient being. By approaching the problem differently, rather than forcing our way through space, we learned to fold it, creating a dimensional shortcut that requires a fraction of the theoretical energy. The Morrigan delegate leaned forward. and humanity intends to colonize Andromeda. Eventually, Marcus acknowledged. But our immediate goal is exploration. We invite all spacefaring civilizations to join this new chapter of discovery. The Unity was built with compartments designed to accommodate diverse biological needs specifically for this purpose. The offer sent shockwaves through the chamber. Humanity wasn't claiming Andromeda for itself, it was opening the door for all. Later, in the diplomatic lounge overlooking the vast starfield beyond Harmony Station, Marcus met with representatives from 12 major civilizations who had expressed immediate interest in joining the Andromeda Initiative. Tella, the young Alteri diplomat, raised her crystal glass in a toast. To humanity, once the newest children of the galaxy, now its boldest explorers. To cooperation, Marcus countered. Humanity may have built the ship, but the future belongs to all sentient beings. On Earth, celebrations marked the announcement. In the 2.5 centuries since joining the galactic community, humanity had maintained its homeworld as both a cultural center and a reminder of where they began. The once polluted seas now gleamed azure blue, the restored forests covered lands previously scared by ancient industries, and orbiting habitats housed billions in comfort. From the observation deck of Earth's orbital headquarters, Admiral Diana Wells watched the celebrations with satisfaction. At 93, aided by life extension technology, she had witnessed humanity's rise from galactic newcomers to pioneers of a new age. They said we moved too fast. She mused to her aide. That we were reckless, impulsive, dangerous even. They weren't entirely wrong, her aide replied with a smile. We've broken more galactic conventions than any species in recorded history. Diana laughed. Sometimes the rules need breaking. The future isn't found by following the established path. It's forged by those willing to create new ones. As night fell over Earth, its citizens looked up at the stars with the knowledge that humanity's future was no longer bound to a single galaxy. The cosmos itself had become their frontier. 500 years after humanity's first tentative steps into space, the human influence spanned 2 galaxies and countless civilizations. The intergalactic corridor between the Milky Way and Andromeda bustled with traffic. Exploratory vessels, colony ships, and massive cargo transports moving steadily between the twin galaxies now linked by humanity's ingenuity. Professor Alan Turner stood before a class of students at the Galactic Academy on New Terra, the first human colony established in Andromeda. His students represented 27 different species, all drawn to study under human tutelage. Today marks the quincentennial of humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage. Alan began, his voice carrying through the vaulted lecture hall. Who can tell me why humans succeeded where many older, more established species had plateaued? A young Alteri raised her hand. Humans possess exceptional pattern recognition capabilities and apply solutions from disparate fields to solve complex problems. Partly correct. Alan nodded. What else? A Tellurian student spoke next, his ancient species now regular collaborators with humans. Humans embrace risk. Where the council races sought perfect solutions, humans implemented good ones and improved them iteratively. Excellent points, Alan agreed. But there's something more fundamental. He activated a holographic display showing Earth as it appeared before first contact, a planet divided by borders, ideologies, and conflicts. Diversity, Alan said. Not just biological diversity, but diversity of thought, of culture, of approach. Humans argued, disagreed, competed, and through that friction came innovation. When the Galactic Council arrived, they inadvertently gave us something precious, a common purpose that channeled our diverse perspectives toward shared goals. Outside the Academy windows, the Andromedan sky shimmered with unfamiliar constellations. In the 5 centuries since first contact, humanity had not only expanded outward, but had fundamentally transformed the nature of galactic civilization itself. The Intergalactic Concord, formed 2 centuries earlier, had replaced the ancient Galactic Council with a more egalitarian structure. Species were valued not for their age or territory, but for their contributions to shared knowledge and prosperity. Admiral Robert Chen, commander of the Exploration Fleet Discovery, stood on the bridge of his flagship as it prepared to depart for the Triangulum Galaxy, humanity's next great leap. Final preparations complete. Admiral, reported his executive officer, Commander Lily Mason. The new quantum fold drive is operating at 110% of projected efficiency. Robert nodded, studying the holographic projection of their planned route. 3 weeks to Triangulum. Our ancestors would have considered it magic. Many of the council races still do, Lily replied with a smile. The Morrigan ambassador asked me yesterday if our ships are powered by human sorcery. Robert laughed. Perhaps they are, in a way. Clarke's third law. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Beyond the viewports, escort vessels representing a dozen allied species moved into formation around the Discovery. This mission wasn't just human. It was a collaborative effort bringing together the finest minds and technologies from throughout the intergalactic concord. Back on Earth, now a preserved historical treasure rather than an administrative center, the original lunar base had been meticulously maintained as a museum. Tourists from hundreds of worlds visited daily, marveling at the primitive conditions in which humanity had taken its first extraterrestrial steps. Owen Davis, a director of the Earth Historical Society and descendant of Lieutenant Emma Davis, who had served at Lunar Base Alpha, led a group of dignitaries through the facility. "This is where it began," Owen explained, gesturing to the simple observation deck where Commander Reynolds had once stood. From this humble outpost, with technology barely more advanced than chemical rockets, humanity looked to the stars not with fear, but with determination. An elderly Alteri in the group stepped forward. My ancestor was Vex, who first visited this base. He reported that humans were stubborn, impractical dreamers who would require millennia to achieve significant space presence. He paused, his eyes twinkling. He was quite wrong. As the Andromedan sun set over New Terra, Alan Turner concluded his lecture with a question that echoed across 2 galaxies. Humanity's legacy isn't just technology or territory. It's the fundamental belief that exploration itself has value. The journey matters as much as the destination. Now, as we prepare to reach a 3rd galaxy, I ask you, what frontiers will we explore in the next 500 years? The legacy of human exploration continued to unfold across the cosmos, unstoppable and boundless. 750 years after humanity's first contact with alien intelligence, the boundaries between species had begun to blur. The human confederation had evolved into something greater, the Stellar Union, an alliance where biological, technological, and even synthetic life forms coexisted and collaborated across 3 galaxies. General Olivia Wright, Supreme Commander of the Triangulum Expedition, stood on the observation platform of the massive space station Nexus. Suspended at the gravitational center point between 3 galaxies, Nexus served as the hub for intergalactic governance, trade, and cultural exchange. At 120 years old, rejuvenated by advanced medical techniques, Olivia had spent over 7 decades leading humanity's expansion into Triangulum. Now, as she prepared to retire, she reflected on how far all civilizations had come. "Magnificent, isn't it?" asked a voice beside her. Olivia turned to find Krell, a 3rd-generation human Alteri hybrid whose ancestors had been among the first to embrace cross-species genetic compatibility. The silvery blue tint to his skin and slightly elongated features hinted at his mixed heritage. "Every time I look out there, I find something new to appreciate," Olivia replied, gesturing toward the spectacular 3-galaxy panorama visible through the station's transparent dome. "The Union Council session begins in an hour," Krell reminded her. "Your final address as Supreme Commander." Olivia nodded. "I've been considering what to say. How do you summarize 7 centuries of transformation?" The Union Council chamber was unlike any governmental forum that had come before. Physical delegates mingled with holographic representatives, and direct neural interfaces for digitally ascended species. Some members existed simultaneously in multiple forms, a development that would have been unimaginable to the first humans who ventured into space. As Olivia took the central platform, silence fell across the vast assembly. Distinguished representatives, she began, 7.5 centuries ago, humanity was confined to a single planet, unaware that intelligence flourished throughout the cosmos. Today, we gather as a union of over 10,000 species, spanning 3 galaxies and countless forms of existence. She activated a holographic display showing the complete history of galactic expansion, from the first tentative human colonies to the flourishing civilizations now established in Triangulum. The stellar union represents more than cooperation between different species. It embodies a fundamental shift in how sentient beings define themselves. The borders between us, biological, technological, philosophical, have become permeable. We are witnessing the emergence of a cosmic tapestry where diverse threads of intelligence are woven together. Images appeared of the newest achievements: planet-sized computational arrays, artificial habitats orbiting black holes to harness their energy, the first successful consciousness transfers between organic and synthetic bodies, and the quantum communication network that allowed instantaneous connection across intergalactic distances. These advancements came not from human ingenuity alone, but from the synergy of thousands of civilizations. The Morrigan provided the theoretical framework for dimensional tunneling. The Tellurians contributed their 10-million-year understanding of cosmic cycles. The synthetic axiom collectives developed the quantum consciousness substrate. Olivia paused, looking out at the assembled beings. Yet humanity's greatest contribution wasn't technological. It was philosophical. The unshakable belief that differences should be celebrated rather than feared, that exploration has inherent value, and that the future belongs to those with the courage to reimagine it. The council chamber erupted in approval, with species expressing their agreement in myriad ways, from the telepathic pulse of the Ilaren consciousness clouds to the synchronized light patterns of the crystalline VOF. Later, as Olivia prepared to depart Nexus for her ancestral home on Earth, she met with her successor, Commander Miguel Torres. "I've been studying the anomalies beyond Triangulum," Miguel told her. "The gravitational distortions suggest there may be pathways to other universes, not just other galaxies." Olivia smiled. 750 years, and we're still finding new frontiers. Does it ever end? Miguel asked. This drive to explore, to push boundaries. I hope not, Olivia replied. That's the gift humanity brought to the stars: restlessness. The moment we become satisfied with what we know is the moment we begin to decline. As her transport ship pulled away from Nexus, Olivia watched the impossible structure diminish against the backdrop of 3 spiral galaxies: Milky Way, Andromeda, and Triangulum, now connected by humanity's legacy of exploration and cooperation. The cosmic tapestry continued to unfold, each thread strengthening the whole, creating patterns of existence never before imagined in the universe. 1,000 years after humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage, the universe itself had been transformed. The stellar union had evolved into the cosmic confluence, a harmonious blend of organic, synthetic, and hybrid intelligences spanning multiple galaxies and dimensions. On Earth, now a sacred historical preserve, the millennial celebration attracted visitors from across known space. The cradle of humanity had been restored to pristine condition, its ancient wounds healed by technologies that worked in harmony with natural processes. Director Jason Wells of the Interdimensional Exploration Initiative stood atop the restored peak of Mount Everest, accompanied by representatives of 200 founding species of the confluence. At 30 physical years of age, with a consciousness over 3 centuries old preserved through consciousness transfers, he had led the most ambitious project in sentient history. 1,000 years ago, Jason began, his voice carried to billions across the galaxies through the quantum consciousness network. Humanity looked up at these same stars with primitive optical telescopes and wondered if we were alone. Today, we know we are part of something vastly greater, a cosmic community that transcends not just planetary boundaries, but the limits of space, time, and dimension. Below them, in every major city and settlement on Earth, holographic displays showed the culmination of Jason's project, the Transcendence Gateway, a massive ring structure constructed at the edge of the Triangulum Galaxy. It represented the next leap in exploration. Our ancestors dreamed of reaching the stars, Jason continued. We achieved that goal and found new dreams waiting for us. They imagined traveling between galaxies. We built bridges across the intergalactic void and discovered more questions to answer. Now, we stand at the threshold of understanding not just our universe, but the multiverse beyond. The gateway began to power up, its energy signature visible as a bright flare even from Earth's distant vantage point. Today, we activate the Transcendence Gateway, not merely a door to other dimensions, but a benchmark in our collective evolution. Through it, we will explore realities with different physical laws, different forms of matter and energy, different possibilities of existence. Throughout the gathered crowd, beings of countless forms and origins watched in anticipation. Some existed primarily as energy, others as complex biological organisms, still others as conscious networks distributed across multiple substrates. What had begun as distinct species had blended into a spectrum of intelligence, each form uniquely adapted to different environments and purposes. Humanity's greatest gift to the cosmos wasn't technology, Jason said, echoing the words Olivia Wright had spoken 250 years earlier. It was perspective, the understanding that differences drive innovation, that exploration has inherent value, and that cooperation multiplies potential. The gateway activated fully, creating a stable passage to another universe for the first time in known history. Cheers, telepathic jubilation, and quantum resonance signals of joy emanated from the assembled beings. Later, as celebration continued worldwide, Jason met with Elder Thorn, one of the few pure Tellurians still choosing to maintain their original biological form. At over 12,000 years old, Thorn had witnessed humanity's entire journey from primitive newcomers to architects of the confluence. "You have fulfilled your species' promise," Thorn acknowledged, his ancient eyes reflecting starlight. "When humans first joined the galactic community, many feared your recklessness. Now we understand it was exactly what the cosmos needed. We simply asked different questions," Jason replied modestly. "While other species asked, how do we perfect what exists? Humans asked, what else is possible?" Thorn gestured toward the night sky, where the gateway's activation had created visible ripples in space-time. "And now all of us ask both questions together. The multiverse awaits, with infinite variations to explore and understand." As dawn broke over Earth's eastern horizon, Jason looked toward the rising sun, the same star that had nurtured humanity from its earliest days. From a primitive species huddled on a single world to the architects of a multidimensional civilization, humans had journeyed further than any of their ancestors could have imagined. Yet the essence of humanity remained: curiosity, adaptability, determination, and hope. These qualities, once concentrated in a single species, had spread throughout the confluence, creating a civilization that embodied the best aspects of all its members. The future stretched before them, not just a future of years or centuries or millennia, but of endless discovery across infinite realities. Humanity had risen from unknown to unstoppable, not through conquest or domination, but through cooperation and innovation. And beyond the horizon of the known universe, new frontiers waited to be explored. Tilde fin tilde.